My name's Faith, but you may call me Unmei. So if you're as much as a fanatic of cozy pixel games as I am, then you've probably heard of a little game called Sunhaven, where you can farm, explore, learn magic, and date people. You see where I'm going with this? Today we're going to be drawing my two husbandos from this game. And if you know anything about the portraits in this game, you'll know that they're a little, not the best? But we're going to fix that, starting with my Febe Vaan. So let's get started. I also want to note here that I used some mods from Suzuki as a reference photo as well. Anyway, let's get to the drawing. I wanted to make his pose as dynamic as possible, because he does have air magic after all. Let's actually give him a face now. He can't be kissable without some lips. Not like I want to kiss him or anything, baka. I decided instead of his usual outfit, I'm gonna go with this summery one. He has these little Naruto marks on his cheeks, which I think are given to him by the elder of the village. Supposedly they can glow when he's in a state of deep spiritual activity, kind of like Aang from Avatar, I guess. I make his hair nice and wispy because it's blowing in the wind. I used my own alien hands as reference to draw his hand here because I wanted it to be kind of inviting, like he's reaching out to you and saying, "Hey baby girl, you lost?" Just kidding. I'm gonna have him making a little heart out of air. Okay, it's time to line. I always use the syrup pen on Procreate for lining, but for the pupil, I always use a softer brush. I have my own sketch brushes on Patreon if you're interested. I also post monthly tutorials and full time-lapse videos of my drawings there, so please consider checking it out. Okay, shameless plug over. Let's continue with the drawing. Here's a little tip for you when you're drawing something that's closer to the viewer. Just use thicker lines. Using thicker lines will give the appearance that it's closer. So for the hand here, I'm gonna use nice chunky lines. Then later we're gonna blur the lines because things that are closer to your view, a little too close to your view, are going to be blurry. And I'm gonna use a little makeshift chain brush that I made for the turquoise necklace that he wears. Okay, now we just need to draw in the hair. And I'm not really sure what's happening with his hair, but I decided to put it into a ponytail. Because what else would I possibly do with this hairstyle? Alright, now we're gonna draw in those cute little flowers on his head. He looking like a Disney princess up in here. Let's change the line color so it matches with the flowers a little bit better. Then we have to change the line color of the hand, and then the wind, of course. The wind heart. Doesn't Windheart kind of sound like a cool last name? His last name should be Windheart. Petition to make his last name Windheart. Let's remember to put those Naruto lines in the cheeks because I will inevitably forget it later. It's everybody's favorite time, coloring time. Why did I make his necklace yellow? Okay, change it. There you go. Dropping in more colors. I decided to swap the chain for a woven thread. I just felt it would be more fitting for his character. Let's make that juicy hair highlight. I personally like to use the lasso tool to shade in the hair because it's just a little bit easier for me. But you don't have to use the lasso tool. You can use whatever brush you want. I also like to blur the lines that I make with the lasso tool for the hair because it makes everything a bit softer. And for this little ginger boy right here, it's gonna make everything look much nicer. Now for the shirt, I'm gonna use a texture brush called Spectra. This is a free default brush in Procreate that anybody can use. His shirt is some kind of knitted material, I think. That's what I'm going with anyways. I know it looks like a watermelon right now, but it's gonna look a little more like knitted material later on, okay? Just trust me. I'm still de-watermelonizing the shirts. We'll take a break from that and just paint in the shading of his gloves real quick. Give him some skin shading because even though he's magical, light still affects him the same way as everyone else. You're not special, Vaan. For the skin shading, I'm using a combination of the lasso tool and the airbrush. And when you're shading, always remember the direction of the light source. In this particular painting, it's coming from the top right of the picture. So the shadows are going to be on the opposite side. I like to add a little hue of red to the neck shadow because that is what we call subsurface scattering. Ooh, fancy words. Alright, admittedly I did have a little trouble coloring in and shading this wind, but eventually I figured it out. It only took like 90% of the actual drawing process to get there. Making it see-through obviously helped, but it also started to just look like water. So I turned the layer to an add layer to make it glowy and kind of look more like magic. Because as we know, all magic is glowy. Let's shade the sides of his iris and give him a pupil so he can see your beautiful face and madly fall in love with you. Just kidding, obviously he's in love with me, duh. We're getting married next week. Let's put some blushies on his cheeks because he got a little embarrassed just now when I said that. I was a little embarrassed for myself too. Moving right along, we're going to put some highlights on his nose now. A little on the lips too, and a wee bit on the side of his fingers. And he can't be simpable without that smexy eyeshadow. So to make it look more like wind instead of frickin' water, I decided to put little spirals around the magic. And of course little sparkles, that also helps make it look more like actual magic. let's put him in the sky because I feel that would fit the theme of wind. Plus, the sky is a lot easier to draw than an actual background. Here's that add layer I was talking about earlier. It makes everything glowy. So much easier than using traditional art. Sorry, traditional artists, but we kind of win here. Bam! Surprise final results. What are your guys' thoughts? Did we upgrade this Fae or did we just ruin his day? Okay, next up we have our canine cutie Donovan. Well, this version of him is cute anyways. So mayhaps I use this smexy picture of Link for the pose. Just looks kind of animal-like the way that he's crouching down, which is perfect for our doggy boy. Let's just jump right into it. Also, I want to address, yes, I know he's supposed to be a wolf, but I can't help myself from headcanning him as a dog. And I always put the eyes a little bit too low on the face, but it's okay, I fix it later, okay? I know what I'm doing, I totally know what I'm doing. This is the one time where I'm justified in putting fangs on my character because he canonically has fangs. Let's start sketching those shapes for the body. Attempt to draw a hand and give him some claws because wolves have claws. Once the body is done, we're gonna put him out of his misery and not have him be bald anymore. There we go. Now we're gonna add the clothes, and I don't want to draw his regular clothes. I want to draw his winter clothes because I think it's super adorable. Can't forget his iconic little dog tags. And of course the ears. Let's draw his sultry eyes. Add that classic chin shade that I like. And just a little tip for those who want to draw in a manga style, be sure to focus on the line art. The line art is really what makes manga manga. So you should always have your lines as a good thick to thin ratio. Time to color, baby. Yeah, I'm color picking because I'm lazy. Give him golden eyes because he's the golden boy in my heart. It's time to shade. I'm going in with my classic lasso tool to do this shading. Honestly, only the lasso tool could ever rival my love for Donovan. Gotta shade this floofy blue hair with the lasso tool, of course. And don't ask why I shaded green on his forehead. I have literally no idea. Sometimes drawing these little bits of shades in between the strands of the hair makes it a little more realistic looking. I don't really know why. It just kinda does. I'm gonna airbrush on a little gradient of shade at the hairline there because it makes it look a little more realistic, like it's really growing out of there. With the airbrush, we're just gonna make the hair highlight and erase away at the parts that we don't need. Again, I'm gonna go in with the Spectra brush. It's a nice texture brush, so it's gonna look a little bit more like fur. Put some shine on those dog tags and shade in those pants so it doesn't look flat AF. And add a little bit of shine. Now we gotta make sure the tail looks nice and floofy. It's basically gonna be the same as the hair. You just use the lasso tool to draw on the strands, and then you also combine it with the airbrush for a nice gradient. So much of drawing is just the same thing over and over, honestly, until you get to a result that isn't horrible. Alright, we're almost to the end of this drawing. All that's left to do is some final touches, and then we're gonna lazily paint in a background. Whoopsie-daisy, I forgot to add a little bit of shadow to the side of his face, so we're just gonna do that real quick. So in Withergate, which is the place he lives in the game, there's a lot of purples, oranges, and yellows because it's supposed to represent a Halloween town, which is my vibe. Furry jump scare! Did I get you? Hehe. So here's our finished goodest of boys. So did we dazzle this doggy or dig his grave? You let me know in the comments. Also let me know which of the drawings today that you like better. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. And if you want to see a part 2, maybe me drawing your bays from the game, then let me know. Bye bye!